Okay, one second. I see it now. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, maybe you need to maximize that one.
Yeah, I did that.
Maybe
It's
go to
okay.
meeting. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, so let's start off. So you want me to go through only the uh, concepts, or how you want me to start off? Because
So what I want you to do, Sunil, is like just run me as if you're running an actual course right now. Just run me through Informatica, like how you log in, what are the main commands out there, or the
okay.
menu bar, and how do you work through the interface. I will know in that way that it's working fine. That's all I need to know. Because
Oh, okay.
I myself teach online and I use GoToMeeting, so I'm comfortable with this concept. I just want to see that your content is what I am actually targeting to look at, because the audience I have, the people who want to learn with me, want to learn the part of Informatica where there is a database that's actually existing. You interface Informatica with that database and pull out reports while running a query or whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
Either
So
either
they're all new to job, or they're having any prior experience or something like that.
they have experience, or some on databases and some not, but they are new to Informatica, totally new to Informatica.
Okay. So generally, I will start off as I am starting a demo for regular demo.
Yeah,
Okay?
that's exactly what I want you to
that.
do. That's exactly what I want you to do.
Okay. Let me start off.
Sure.
So before knowing, right, before we start off with Informatica and what is Informatica Power Center and all, right, first of all, I will go through the concepts, data warehousing concept. First of all, let's understand what is a data warehouse. Okay. So first, what is a data warehouse, and then see why do we need a data warehouse, and what are all the things we are going to do in a data warehouse. So first, see what is the definition of a data warehouse. Okay. So if you look at the term data warehouse, right, so what do you understand generally? So data warehouse, like dictionary meaning of a data warehouse.
It would be a warehouse which keeps data.
Right. So generally warehouse means it's a place, right? Warehouse is nothing but a place where we
store something.
Right. So similarly, in a data warehouse means in our warehouse we are going to store data. So instead of so that is nothing but the general dictionary meaning, like English dictionary meaning of a data warehouse. Now as we keep on going discussion, right, then we will understand the technical definition of a data warehouse.
Okay.
So data warehouse is nothing but a place where we are going to store the data. So it's one place where you are going to store the data. So in our data warehouse, we are going to store the data. Since we need to store the data, first of all, we need to understand what are all the different types of data we are going to deal, or what are the different types of data we are going to store in a data warehouse.
Right.
Okay, so generally we can categorize the data into three types. One is structured data, semi-structured data, unstructured data.
Okay.
So these are the three different types of data we are going to deal in a data warehouse. Okay, now let's see one by one. So what is a structured data? So what type of data we will call it as a structured data? So we have a data, and that data is readily available for processing. Readily available for processing by computer applications.
Right.
Okay. So such type of data we will call it as a structured data. So readily available for processing. That means what you have a data, and any application, any computer application can easily grab it or read it, and then it can process and then do whatever the manipulations they want. Okay, so such type of data we can call it as a structured data. So we can have an examples like numbers, characters, okay, and alphanumerics, something like that.
Okay.
So these are the examples. Now let's come to semi-structured data. So semi-structured data means, yeah.
But what is the meaning of characters?
That's what I will come across these things.
Okay.
Once I define the tree, right, then I will take one example and I will explain how the structured data will be originated and all.
Okay.
Then you will understand. Okay. So semi-structured data. So semi-structured data means what? The data that is not stored in a organized manner, in a structured manner.
Okay.
So it was stored in a semi-organized manner or semi-organized manner. So we can have an examples like XML files, HTML files. These are semi-structured data. So we can have these type of files as a these files will contain or will store the data in a semi-structured manner. So if you take any XML file or HTML file, it will be storing the information in a child and parent, right, in a hierarchical manner.
Right.
In a hierarchical manner. So if you want to process any of the data, right, first of all you need to organize the data in one particular order and then you need to store it.
Right.
So these are the examples of a semi-structured data. And the other one is unstructured data. Unstructured data means the data that is not at all structured. So it's by looking at it also we may not be able to understand properly. Like we can have audio files, video files, like emails. So the data that is there in these type of files, right? It's very unstructured. So you cannot easily process the data. So if you want to process or if you want to pick any appropriate data from emails or video files, right, you need to write like few big algorithms and then you need to pick the appropriate information and then organize or store it in an organized manner and then you can access or read it and then manipulate that. So these are the three types of examples for an unstructured data. So now we have seen these three types of data, right? Now let's see, we know what is a structured data, right? What is a structured data? Examples like numbers, characters, and alphanumerics. So since in our data warehouse, we are going to store these three different types of data, right? We need to understand the origin. So how the structured data will be originated, how the semi-structured data will be originated, and similarly, how unstructured data will be originated in a real time. So now let's take an example for each and everyone and discuss. So nowadays everyone will have a bank account, right?
Right.
So now if you want to deposit the money in your bank account, like cash. So what you will do, generally we will go to bank, right?
Yes.
We will go to bank and what we will do, we will take the deposit slip and then we will fill the information. So what information we are going to fill there? We are going to fill the account number and type of account.
Right.
And name, your name, date, amount, and something like home branch.
Right.
So where you open all this information. So once you fill the deposit slip, right? So what we are going to do here? So we will give this deposit slip and cash to the cashier, right? So what the cashier will do? So the cashier is going to update your account balance, right?
Right.
Yeah, your account balance. So how he is updating? How he is going to update your account balance generally? So what he is going to access one online application, right? So he is going to access one online application. So using that online application, he is going to update. So what he is going to do, he will enter your account number and retrieve your details and find out, match it, whether it's matching or not. Then what he will do, he will enter the amount, whatever the amount you deposit, whatever the amount you want to deposit, right? That amount he will enter it and then he will submit that one. And then he will submit that one. So that means what? It's nothing but one transaction, right?
Right.
So here, what is happening here? He is nothing but he is performing one transaction.
Right.
Okay, so whatever the transaction he is doing, right? So that transaction he needs to store somewhere. He needs to store somewhere, right? Generally, we will store it in a database.
Right.
So database is nothing but what? Collection of tables right? So tables contains
Columns and rows.
right?
Yeah.
Rows. So columns and rows. So columns means what generally? So columns will contain what type of data? So we will define the columns like numbers, right? Characters, alphanumerics, something like that.
Right.
So whatever the transaction he is doing, that transaction is going to have some information. What information that transaction is going to have? The transaction will contain the account number, type of account, whatever the information we have provided in the deposit slip, right? So what we need to store that transaction in the database. So how it is going to store the transaction? So account number will be going into the account table, and it is going to be stored in account column, right? Account column is not, generally we will store it in characters, right? Similarly, account type. Account type means whether it's a savings account, corporate account, checking account, right? That information will be stored in characters. Similarly, name. So name will be going into the customer table, and the customer table will be having the information. So likewise, what each and every information, it is going to be stored in one particular table, and in that particular table you have some columns. That columns will be, in that columns it will be stored. So here in database, columns are nothing but what information they will store. They will store the numbers, characters, and alphanumeric information, right? So here, why we are calling it as structured data here? It was organized properly, right? It was organized in rows. It was organized in columns, and the such type of data, right? Such type of data can be accessed or read by any application very easily, because we have some standard set of procedures or something like that. So that's how the structured data will be originated, and it will be saved in database, right? In database, and it will be stored in columns. Columns will store nothing but will be storing like numbers, characters, and alphanumeric.
Right.
So that is how the structured data is going to be generated in a real time. So whatever the applications we are discussing, right, online application. So those applications we are going to call it as OLTP applications, online transactional processing systems.
Okay.
So we are calling it as online transactional processing systems. Okay.
Okay.
These are the very important things, and we need to understand these OLTP applications very clearly if you want to understand what is a data warehouse and all. So if you understand the OLTP, then we will understand the data warehouse. We will see it later, what is OLTP and what are the how OLTP applications are designed or something like that. Now let's come back to semi-structured data. So semi-structured data. So semi-structured data means what we have discussed, like the data that is not stored in a structured manner. It is stored in a semi-organized manner, or stored semi-structured manner. So you will have, we discussed about XML files and HTML files. So where we hear about XML files and HTML files generally? We will hear the XML and HTML files in web technologies, right?
Web tech, yes, right.
So we have web technologies like internet. So if you want to build any page, right, internet page or something like that, generally we will use the XMLs or HTMLs. And also we will use the XMLs or HTMLs for communicating the data also. So now the same example which we have discussed for structured data, what the cashier was accessing an online application. So online application is nothing but, it's nothing but one web page, right? It's nothing but one web page. He's accessing one web page. So in that web page, he is entering some information which we have provided, right? And whatever point he's clicking that transaction, he's submitting the transaction. So that means what, in that web page, right, whatever the operations or events he is doing, we will call it as events generally in web page. Even if you click something, it's an event. So once he submits your transaction, right, he's submitting your transaction. That means what, in that web page, a lot of events are happening, right? So for each and every click, or for each and every operation that is going to take place in that web page, right? So we can generate an XML file in the background. So because we may have a Java code. Using that Java code, we can generate the XML files, and also we will have a lot of tools also for generating the So whatever this example database, something like numerics, numbers, characters, and alphanumerics. The same example, using the backend, inside the backend, we can generate the XML files. So that XML file will also contain what information? The same information we are going to store it in XML files. So whereas previously we stored the same information in database.
Okay.
Okay, so that's how the XML files will be generated. Now the unstructured data. So video files, audio files, emails. Now
Okay.
take an example. So you have a bank account and if you forget the ATM pin, so what are you
Right.
going to do? You need to reset your ATM pin. So how are you going to reset your ATM pin?
I'll go online and
Generally
then.
we will, yeah, so generally we will first call to the customer care, right? Generally we will call to the
Right.
customer care and we will ask them to reset the pin. So if you hear, right, generally you will hear about your call will be recorded for internal audit purpose.
Right.
So something like this. So whatever the event you call to the customer care and you will discuss and you will give your information and you ask them to reset the password. So whatever the conversation you are having, that information will be stored in an audio file. Similarly, emails.
Okay.
Emails means emails. So sometimes you may even raise the request through email also. You send the email to the customer care representatives and ask them to reset the password or something like that.
Okay.
Right? So these are the small examples where the unstructured data is going to be generated. So whatever the examples we discussed, right, all these three examples corresponds to what one particular business operation, right, or business scenario. So depositing the money or calling to the customer care or sending an email. So each and what is the main intention there? So there's some business transaction is happening, right?
Right. Business transaction happens and you gather data.
Right. So here, right, that means what in a real time, right? So for each and every business transaction, whatever the business operations are performing or doing in a real time, right, each and every business transaction is going to generate the data, and the data is getting stored in different forms, right? Sometimes the data is getting stored in database, sometimes the data is getting stored in XML and HTML files, and sometimes the data is getting stored in emails or audio files or video files or something like that. Pardon?
Right.
So that's how the data is getting generated. Right now, we have seen the data is getting stored in the day-to-day business transactions, right? Day-to-day business transactions, the data is getting stored in different forms. So then, why do we need a data warehouse still? So here in data warehouse, what are we going to do here? In a data warehouse, we are going to store the data in one place. But here, in whatever the examples we discussed, here also we are going to store the data. Sometimes we are going to store the data in database, sometimes we are going to store. That means what the data is scattered across heterogeneous sources.
Right.
But whereas in data warehouse, we are going to store it in one common place. So what is the necessity of storing, or what is the purpose of storing the data in one common place? Suppose now let's assume any bank. So if the bank wants to check the financial transactions once in 3 months or previous year transactions, turnover. Okay, so what he wants to do, so suppose the chief financial officer of a bank wants to analyze the company financial prospects of the year up to now. So what we need to do, we need to generate a report, right? We need to generate a report and we need to produce that report to the chief financial. So if you want to generate a report, what we have to do here, we need to access the data. So what type of data we need to access? The data that is getting generated in a real time. Or by doing the day-to-day business transactions, the data is getting generated. That data we need to read it and process it, and then we need to aggregate the information, and then we need to store it in one report, display it in one report, right? So here, but in day-to-day business activities, right, the data is getting generated or stored in different formats and different applications, right, and different forms. So is it easy for us to generate or to read the data from database, simultaneously to read the data from XML files, simultaneously to read the data from emails or something like that? So here it's very complex. Right? And also you will have their own limitations. You will have their own limitations in this if you want to access this. So you will understand that once we will discuss about the OLTP. I'm skipping that OLTP as of now. So what we will do, we need to generate or we need to read the data from these three types of sources, and then you need to process it and then put it in one report. So it's a very complex, and we will have some limitations also. So but if you have all these three data, right, if you have all these three data like the structured data, semi-structured data and unstructured data, and if you keep all these three data in one common place, from that common place we can easily read the data and show it in a report, right? That's a very easy process for us. So what we can do is, so here in a data warehouse, what we are going to do is, we are going to read the data that is there stored in heterogeneous sources, and we are going to store it in one common database. So what we are doing, we are accessing the structured data, process it and store it in a database. Semi-structured, that means we are accessing XML files and HTML files. We are processing this and then storing it in one common database.
Right.
So that means what? Here we are converting the semi-structured data and then storing it as a structured data in one place. Similarly, here we have an unstructured data. We are accessing that and then we are processing that unstructured data and then storing it in a structured data. So that means we are transforming each and every different type of data and storing it in a structured manner in one place.
So Sunil, quick question.
Yeah.
Okay. In case of semi-structured data, right? Is Informatica restricted to XML and HTML?
No, that's what I'm saying. So once I complete everything, I will tell. Okay. So Informatica can access HTML files, XML files, HTML files, databases, SAPs, and even it can have message queues, web services. It can read data from Power Exchange. Any type of data it can read. Informatica Power Center.
Got it.
Okay. So so here we are storing, we are accessing this three type of data and processing it and storing it in one common place. That common place we will call it as a data warehouse. So technically we can define the data warehouse as a data warehouse is nothing but a relational database. So data warehouse is also a relational database which is specifically designed for analysis purpose.
Okay.
So rather than for transactional purpose. So here, rather than for transactional purpose, here why we are calling it as, here whatever the OTP applications, right? Those are designed specifically to carry out the day-to-day business transactions. Whereas data warehouses are built to perform the analysis. What analysis? To analyze the business. Okay. To analyze the business. So that's how we can define technically. That's one of the technical definition of a data warehouse.
Okay.
So now let's shift to, so here if you want to store the data into a data warehouse, so we have seen that, right? We will read the data and then we will process the data and then we will load the data. So if you want to store the data in a data warehouse, first of all what we need to do, we need to extract the data, right? We need to extract the data from different sources. Once we extract the data, what we are going to do, we are transforming the data.
Yes.
And then we are loading the data. Loading the data into a data warehouse. So data warehouse is our target here. Okay. So this process, ETL, extraction, transformation and loading, if you take the first letters, it will become the ETL. So if you want to load the data into the data warehouse, you need to perform this ETL operation. Okay. You need to perform these ETL operations. To perform these ETL operations, you are having different tools on many tools in the market. One of the major tool is Informatica Power Center. Okay, so Informatica Power Center. So using this Informatica Power Center, we are going to perform the ETL operations. Okay. So to perform these ETL operations, what are all the now we will see how we are going to perform the ETL operations. So first of all, we need to understand the Informatica Power Center tool. Okay, so once you install the Informatica Power Center, right, so you will be having some, generally any application or any environment will be having the client server architecture or service oriented architecture or something like that. So generally you will work on clients and you will have the server somewhere else. So once you install the Informatica Power Center, right, you will be having clients and service server. So in clients, Informatica Power Center is having different client tools. One is a designer, workflow manager, workflow monitor, and then repository manager.
Right.
So here, so first of all, right, if you want to perform the ETL operations, right, if you want to perform the ETL operations, first of all, you need to extract the data, extracting the data from the source. So if you want to extract the data, first of all, you need to understand what is the source and what type of source it is and all, right. So that means what you need to have the source information with you first, and then you can extract or read the data from that. Once you extract the data and once you extract or read the data, then you can transform the data, and then you need to load the data into the data warehouse. So if you want to load the data also, you need to understand what is the target, what type of target it is, whether it's a table or whether it's a relation. That means what you need to have our information, the target information, okay?
Right.
So now let's see. So now we will see the designer tool within the Informatica Power Center. So within the designer, right? So this is how the designer looks like once you install Informatica Power Center.
Okay.
This is the repository. So I will go through detail once you we start off the classes. Okay.
Okay.
So,
yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so once you install the Informatica Power Center, right? So you will be installing the once you install the Informatica Power Center, you will be having the client servers and repository. So whatever the codes you are going to develop in the Informatica Power Center, that we need to store it in somewhere else, right? So we need to store somewhere else. So we are going to store that in one place called repository.
Okay.
So repository is nothing but the collection of tables. It's nothing but the relational. Repository is also a database where it will be having all the information. Whatever the code you are going to store, that information will be stored in a database. Now let's see the designer. So if you want to log into any client tool, it's nothing but you need to log into the repository first of all. So left side you have a repository navigator. So you will each and every client tool will be having some windows. Left side you will have a repository navigator. Down you have output window. And once you log in, so you need to right click on the repository and then connect. Okay, so then you will so logging into the client tool means it's nothing but you need to log into the repository.
Okay.
So each and every client tool will be having some windows defined on it. Okay, so left side you will have a repository navigator. So you will be using this repository navigator to log into the repository, and within the repository, right, you will be having some folders. So why do we need to have a folder? What is the definition of a folder generally? So folder is a logical place, right? Folder is just a logical place where you are going to store the information. So you are going. Generally, we will create the folders, maintain the data, or to organize the data in a proper manner, such that it is very easy for us to retrieve the data, and it's easy for us by looking at also we can easily understand.
Okay.
So for retrieving purpose and for storing purpose, you will be having the folder. So within the repository, you can create multiple folders. Okay.
Right.
So this is the designer. So and you will have whatever the space you are seeing here, right? This is the workspace. In this workspace, you are going to create all the objects and whatever the code you want to develop.
Okay.
So within the designer, you are having subtools again. You have source analyzer. You have a target designer. Okay. You have the transformation developer. Okay. You have the maplet designer and you have the mapping designer. Okay. So previously we discussed, right? So if you want to perform the ETL operation, first of all, you need to have the source information. You need to know what is the source.
Okay.
So in Informatica Power Center, right, you have a client tool called designer, and within that designer you have a source analyzer. So this is also a sub-tool within the designer. Using the source analyzer, first of all, we need to import the source. So if you want to perform the ETL operation, first you need to have the source. So using the source analyzer, we can import the source from a database, or we can import the source from a file. Either it might be COBOL, it might be an XML. So the source might be any type of source, whether it might be any application also, whether it might be Sable, SAP, anything. So we can import the source from any of the sources, or either you can create the source manually within the Informatica Power Center designer. So once you have the source, right? Once you have the source, then you can perform the transformation, right? Once you have the source.
Right.
So whatever the sources you are going to import, right? Whatever the sources, suppose let's assume I want to import the source from a database. So before importing the source into the database, first of all, you need to establish the connection between the Power Center Designer and the database you want to connect, right? So generally, how will you connect to the database? Using the database drivers, right? So using the ODBC drivers. So once you click the import from database, you will be getting this option. Okay, so if you click, you will click this. Generally, you will have the ODBC data source. Here you will create the driver for your source database here. Okay. User DSN or system DSN. So I'm skipping this one.
That's fine. That's fine.
So once you create the database driver, so in that database driver, right? So you will mention what is the database name and service name, what is the user ID and all. So using that information, you are going to connect. So you will provide the user information, password here. So you click connect. So once you click connect, what it is doing, Informatica Power Center, using the user and password you mentioned here, it's going to connect to the source database. And it will display all the tables. What are all the tables that you have in the source database? You can see those all tables here. So if you want to import the database, so you can select one table or you can select multiple tables using control. Okay. And then click OK. And then click OK. So once you click OK, what Informatica Power Center Designer will do is it will import the structures of all these tables. So it is connecting to the databases and it is retrieving the information about all these tables.
Right.
So since I have all the already these tables are present in my repository, so it's asking a table name bonus already exists. So what I am doing is I'm clicking apply to all. So here it's apply to all, and then I'm clicking replace. So that means it replaces all the tables.
Okay.
Okay. So whatever the tables you are seeing, right? These are all the tables we imported from the source database, and these tables are just the metadata. Okay, these are not the physical tables. This will hold only the logical information, like what is the table name, columns, and data type, such things. All this information will be stored into the repository. Okay. So once you import it, you need to save the information into the repository. So for that, you need to click S, Control S. So it will save that information. So suppose let's assume once you import the sources, and you just assume that you want to simply extract the data and simply load it into data warehouse. So for that, you need to have the targets. So if you want to import the targets, you need to go to the target designer. So using the target designer, you can import the targets, either you can create the targets manually. So now let's see the option how to create it manually. So now I want to create the table in a. So what I did, I went to the targets menu and then I clicked the create option. So you have pop-up create table. So you need to select the type of database. So in what database you want to create the target table. So I am having the Oracle database. So I am clicking. I need to select the Oracle database as my database, and then you need to mention the name. And then click create. So it will create the empty structure now. So it will create the empty structure. It won't have any ports or columns defined in it.
Right.
So double click that empty structure. Now you will have this table. So you will these are the different tabs you have.
Right.
So this table will be having the table information where you can mention whatever the information you have. And here, if you click the columns, here you can create the columns. So here, column name, data type, and you need to create. So if you want to create anything, you need to select this option. So add new column in this table.
Okay.
So this is the column name, and you need to mention the data type. You have to select the appropriate data type. Okay, doesn't mean that it will have only the Oracle data types. It doesn't have any data type. Okay, so select the appropriate data type, and then precision and scale, and then if you want, you can define the primary keys, foreign keys, or not, and then click apply, and then click OK. So once you have this target table, so you need to create it, right? So see, creating means here it will not physically create the table in the database. It's just the logical information that is there in the repository. So if you want to create the physically, select this table, go to the targets, and you have an option called generate execute SQL here.
Okay.
Okay. If you click this option, then you will have the one pop-up menu. In this pop-up menu, you need to select the option. So you need to generate. You need to create the selected tables only, right? I want to create only this table, so I have selected table, and you need to select this option. So if you want to create a table, and while creating the table, you want to create the primary key, foreign key, and create indexes. If you select this, if you mention all these things in the EMP_test, it will create everything physically. Physically, it will create primary key, foreign key, and indexes. Now you need to click generate and
execute. Okay.
Execute. So now here also, right? So if you want to physically create, first of all, at any point of time, if you want to perform any operations or if you want to read any data, right, you need to connect to the database. So generally, we will connect to the database using the ODBC. So we created one ODBC driver, right? We can use this ODBC driver and then mention the username and password, and then click connect. So what it is showing is, so here we have mentioned the file name, right? So what it will do is it will create, it will generate that script, create table script, and it will keep it in the MK tables_SQL. So since it is there, it is asking us to overwrite. So I click OK. So here in the output window, you can see what it is doing here.
Okay.
So now it creates the table. Now it creates the table EMP_test in the Oracle database in which user Scott.
Okay.
So now if you want, you can verify that also. So you can go to the database. So you can verify whether this table was created in the database or not. Okay. So mention the username and password. Click OK. Now you can see. See here, you have created. Now the table is physically present in the, physically created in the database, Oracle database. Okay. So that's how you created. Once you create the table, right? Once you create the table, so now you need to load the data from source to the target. Once you create the table once you create the target table and once you have the source table, then you need to load the data into the target. So that means what? How are you going to load? First of all, you need to extract the data and then
transform
the data and then load the data into the target.
Right.
So to perform these operations, right, you will perform the whole ETL operations, right? So this we will call it as ETL, right? The whole ETL operations we will mention in one. We will be coding in one object called mapping. In Informatica Power Center, we will mention it as a mapping. So in that mapping, you will be mentioning this whole ETL operation. So for creating the mappings, we have to use the mapping designer subtool within the Power Center designer here. So you need to be in the mapping designer and then click mapping step, okay, and then click create. So that means you are going to create a mapping here. So and then you have to mention the mapping name. So I'm just creating a simple pass-through mapping here. I just simply extract the data and then simply load the data into one target. So that's why I'm giving the name as m_pass-through.
Okay.
So now once you create a mapping, this is an empty mapping, right? You don't have any ETL logic here. So you have just you mentioned the name here. So if you want to create the mapping, so first of all you need to have the source. So that means what, every mapping will be started with the source. So you need to select the source. So left side you see the folder, right? Within the folder you will have some subfolders, sources, targets, and mappings and all. So in the whatever the sources you import in using the source analyzer, right? Those things you can see in the source folder here. So under this Oracle source you see Oracle EMP and all. So select any of the source here. Select any of the source, hold it, drag and drop it into the mapping designer here.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah. So drag any of the source here and then hold, drag and drop it into the mapping designer. So you drag and drop, it will create a source definition. You are seeing this. This is the source definition here. This is the actual source definition that we imported, and this is the transformation. So we are talking about the transforming, right? So if you want to perform any, if you want to do any transformation, or if you want to do any transformation logic in Informatica Power Center, you have an object called transformations.
Okay.
So using these transformations, you can perform different type of operations. So each transformation means what? Transformation is an object. Transformation is an object. Object is a repository object. Is a repository object which modifies or generates or passes data through it. Okay, so transformation is a repository object which we are going to use it to generate or modify or process data through it. So that means what here? So here this is a source qualifier transformation. So generally in any mapping, it should start with a source qualifier transformation. So if you want to read the data from any of the source, from any type of source, so you will be having a source qualifier transformation. So using the source qualifier transformation, you are going to read the data. So Informatica Power Center will automatically append the source qualifier transformation to the source definition. Right. Depending upon the type of source, it will append the source qualifier transformation. So if it is a relational source, it will append the source qualifier. If you are having any COBOL source, it will append another transformation called normalizer transformation. It will act as a source qualifier. So once you have it, right? So if in our mapping, which simply needs to pass the data to the target. So now you should have the target. So just simply select the target from left side. Okay, I selected EMP underscore DET. Drag and mapping here.
Okay.
So this is the structure of a target. So now you need to pass the data from the source qualifier, because after you read the data from the source, right, you need to pass the data to the target. Select the column, hold it, drag and drop to the appropriate column you want to pass. So here I want to pass EMP number to the EMP number. So likewise you can manually select single columns, or you can select all the columns using shift and then drag and drop it. EMP. Okay. Here I am drag and drop it to the EMP. Why? Because I am having all the columns in a proper order. So here I am having the EMP, ename, job, MGR, high date, sal, commission, dpt number. Same way the target is also having the columns in the same order, and the data types also must be matching here. Right. So that's why I dragged and dropped it. So it automatically connected here. So here what it is doing. So here once you extract the data from source, you are passing the data to the target. So here in Informatica Power Center, we will call these columns ports here. So EMP number. So generally in database we will call it as columns, whereas in Power Center we will call this as ports here. Okay. So once you pass the data, so once you load the data into the target, right? Once you load the data into the target, then this mapping was done. This is just a simple process. Now save the mapping, Control S. So whenever you save the mapping, right, it should be a valid mapping. So you can see whether the mapping you created is valid or not. So once you create, so it must be a valid. So once it is valid, then you can. So whatever the mapping we create, whatever the ETL operation or whatever the ETL logic we mentioned here, right? This is just a logical information, right? So it doesn't mean that it will create, it will load the data. So if you want to load or read the data and load the data into the target, you must have object for this. This is just a logic, is not executable. So if you want to create an executable object, you need to go to the workflow manager here in Informatica Power Center.
Okay.
So in the workflow manager, you can create, you are going to create the workflow for this particular mapping, and for this particular mapping, you are going to create one executable object called task, session task.
Right.
So this is just a logical one. So if you want to execute or if you want to load the data, you need to create an executable object. So for that, you need to log into the workflow manager here. Yeah. So the same way. So if the designer we discussed, right, it will be having the window. Similarly, in the workflow manager is also having the repository navigator, workspace, and output window. So logging into the client tool means it's nothing but you need to log into the repository and you need to open the folder, connect the folder and open the folder here. So we previously we developed mapping in the test folder. So simultaneously here in workflow manager also you need to create the same workflow in the same folder here.
Okay.
So if you want to create the workflows, this workflow manager is also having some sub tools again, task developer and workflow designer and workflow designer. So in this, using the workflow designer, you need to create the workflow. So go to workflows menu, click create, and then mention the workflow name here. And then click OK. So it will be creating with a start task here, and then you need to create a session task. So if you want to execute the mapping, you need to create a task called session task. So go to task here and then click create. So you need to select, because we will be having different tasks. We were right now we are concentrating on session. So for every mapping, for any mapping which you are going to create right in Power Center, you need to create the session task. If you want to execute the mapping, if you want to execute the mapping, so you need to give create. So you need to select the mapping here. So whatever the map, for which mapping you need to create. So because in the same folder you might be having multiple mappings.
Right.
Okay, so you need to select the appropriate mapping for which mapping you need to create the session here. So I want to create the session for this password_5. Click OK. Now it will create one object, session task object. Okay, and we need to link these start task and session task. Select, this is the link task here. You need to select this. So go to the start task, hold that one, hold the left key and drag and drop it into the session task. Now it links the start task and the test session task. So now you created the session task. So so now you want to execute the mapping, right? So if you want to execute the mapping, what you need to do while executing, it should connect to the database and it should read the data, and simultaneously it should connect to the target and then load the data. So once you create this object session task, you need to define some properties for this session task.
Okay.
Like, because if you don't know, right, we should mention the connection information.
Okay.
So how the source, for the source and targets, and we need to mention the connection information. So here in session we will be having different tabs. We will discuss later what are all these tabs later.
Right.
So now let's concentrate on mapping tab. So here in mapping tab you will be having what are all the transmission you are using, sources and targets. So now go to the sources. Right side you will have connections here. What you will display the properties of the sources here. Right. So it is using relational reader to read the data, and we need to mention the connection here. So we need to mention the connection here. So previously I created the connection. So what does this connection information will be having? The same like username here, password, and connection string. Connection string is nothing but the database here. Right. So, and similarly you need to mention the target connection information here. Target connection information, and then set the properties. If you want to define the properties, you can define it. So we will see these properties later.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, now click OK. So the basic thing is, first of all, you need to define the connections for the source and targets. Now I have defined the connections for the source and targets. So if you are using those connections, it will connect to the database and retrieve. So now we need to save the workflow, Control S.
Okay.
So once you save the workflow, now you want to execute the mapping. So execute the workflow. So now you have to right click, start workflow. So now it will execute. Now at this point of time, now what is actually happening is, now at this point of time the code is executed. The code is then, that means what the mapping is going to execute. This session will retrieve all the information, all the mapping related information, and then it connects to the, so yeah.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, now it connects to the source database, and then it retrieves what are all the logic we mentioned in the mapping, right? Using that logic, it will retrieve the data, and then it will transform it, and it will load the data into the target. So now you execute the workflow, right? So now you need to know whether the workflow was successful or not. What is the status of the workflow? And even if you find, if you have any errors, right, you need to find out, right?
Right.
So for that you will have other tool called Workflow Monitor in Power Center Designer. So using that Workflow Monitor, you can monitor the execution of the workflow, and you can find out the status of the workflow, whether it succeeded or failed, and if you have any errors, those error information also you can see. So this is the Workflow Monitor here. So same thing, you need to connect to the repository, connect, and then you need to give the username and password.
Okay.
So here, right, if you see here, this is running. So this is the workflow executed, and in that workflow you have this session. So now, while executing, while it is running, right, we can see what are the source, how many records it reads. So double click this session and get run properties.
Right.
Okay. Now here, if you minimize this, you have a source and target statistics here. Now here you can see how many records you read from a source. This is the source SQ_EMP, and this is the target. So now what it has done, it read your session read 14 records, and it loaded 14 records into the target.
Okay.
Okay. Now you want to verify the records that are loaded into the target. Now you can go to the mapping, or either you can go to the database directly to see it. Now I can go to the mapping and then right click on the target definition here, and then you can click preview data. So using that driver, right, so I can connect to the database.
Right.
And see the data that was loaded into the target. Okay. So this is how you are going to load the data from source to target.
Okay.
Okay, so these are the different tools we use and to perform the ETL operations. Yeah, this is how the tool looks like, and so generally if you want to, yeah.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, so in Informatica Power Center, if you want to learn the Informatica Power Center, right, first of all, you need to learn what are all the different types of transformation. So for each and every operation, you have one transformation, specific operation. Okay. So we will learn the different types of transformations on a daily basis, and we will take one transformation. Theoretically, we will go through that, and
Mm-hmm.
I will be showing you with an example how to use the transformation and all with one
Right.
example. Okay, and then we will complete all the transformation. You will for each and every whatever the object we are going to discuss within the Informatica Power Center, right? So we will have an example and we will see how to use that and how to create the mapping structures and all on a daily basis.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So
this is how. Yeah.
So yes, Sunil, I'll be honest with you. This is very good. So I don't have to think twice. Now my question to you would be this, and I had spoken to this with Ganesh also, and maybe Ganesh is the right person to speak with. But suppose I'm taking the lecture, right? Do you provide me with access to the tool to practice? Because the lecture will be 1 hour. After the
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, because I can attend your lecture, but if I don't have a tool to practice on, then after 2 days, whatever I've learned is gone. So either you install it remotely.
We will give you the software.
Okay.
Yeah, we will install it remotely. Okay. We will install it remotely and everything set up. And once I go through the classes, right, I can give you the lab also. So like small things, examples, so that they can practice on that.
Got it. And the second question would be, some of the people who might join, I think one is Vishal and second is me, we have no idea of databases per se, because we have never worked on that side. Basic SQL queries I'm comfortable, create table, extract, search, whatever, those I'm comfortable with. But managing the databases, I've never done before. Will that be a problem?
No need. So you don't need to manage any database here in. So if you see what type of role you are going to play in your job, that's important.
Okay.
So
here's the role. Here's the usage of the person, right? Each of this person works as a business analyst right now in the financial domain. Okay, and they want to move from the traditional software business analyst to the person who does financial analysis. So the idea is they work with the business side, they don't work on the software projects, they go to the business side. Business obviously has data and they need reports either on ad hoc basis or on consistent basis. So their job will be to extract the data, create the report and give it to the management. That's all. So for that, yeah, they will need basic SQL knowledge, we can learn from somewhere. I know I don't need to go back, create a database or keep on managing it on a daily basis. I know I don't need that. The only thing was on a scale from 1 to 10. If my knowledge of SQL is somewhere around 4 or 5, will that be sufficient?
Yeah, that is well. That's well. Because see, here you are not going to do any complex things here. So generally, you will be using SQL only to read the data, right? To select the data from database. So 4 or 5 means I'm assuming that you might be having a knowledge on joining the tables, right?
Yeah, left join, right join, all those things I know.
Yeah, those things are fine. Up to that it's fine, no need.
Up to that it's
fine. That level of knowledge is very, very fine. Not more than that is sufficient generally.
Okay. And on the whole, how long does this training actually go through? Because I saw the advertise for Monster courses, it said 36 or 40 hours something.
Yeah, so it will take 45 hours generally. Generally, we will have a class for daily one and a half hour.
Okay.
So
daily 1.5 hours.
Most probably we can complete the class in 45 hours or something like that.
Okay. 45 hours is